I'm going to be doing a 2020 election prediction between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. So first of all, let's fill in the states which I think Bernie Sanders would get pretty handily. Again, these are all states that are extremely unlikely to flip. They're all safe for the Democrats. Not really much of a surprise that he'd get that. And now let's fill in all the states that Donald Trump would get regardless. Except the 2nd district would be a toss-up. Actually, this is... You know what? I'm actually going to leave Kansas blank for right now, and same thing with Missouri, and I'll tell you why in a little while. Yeah, all these places. Whoa. Hey, sorry. Okay, so this is the map starting off. Oh, and Bernie Sanders would probably get New Mexico pretty safely. So this is the map starting off. First of all, I think that Nevada, Colorado, Virginia would all be likely Democratic. I think they used to be purple states, but now they're leaning more in the Democratic column, especially after the 2018 midterms. Same thing with Minnesota. I think Minnesota, Bernie Sanders just has the populist appeal, and I think precedent would definitely help him. I mean, it was the one state Walter Mondale actually carried in 1980, so I think precedent would help him. Bernie also has a lot of appeal in New Hampshire, and I think that would help him there. I'm actually going to say Michigan is likely Sanders, just because it's going to be really hard for Trump to carry the state once again in 2020, but I'm just going to do that for now. And I'm going to say that Wisconsin and Pennsylvania are both leaning in Sanders' column. And that already makes Sanders the 46th president of the United States based on this analysis. And I forgot, Alaska is safe Republican. Whoops. Anyways, I don't think it ends there for Sanders. I think, first of all, I think that Maine's at-large district is likely to go for him. I think the Maine 1st district is tilt for him. However, in terms of what Donald Trump could win, I think he'd actually be tilting in Florida, just because Florida Democrats didn't do so well there in the 2018 midterms. And again, Bernie Sanders, I don't see... Again, if you're going to win Florida, there needs to be a high... If a Democrat wants to win Florida, there needs to be a high turnout out of Broward County, and I don't think Bernie Sanders can get a lot of those minorities there to turn out. But I think that Georgia would be leaning Republican. So would Arizona, because, again, David Garcia just flopped there, and same thing with Texas. However, I actually do think Bernie Sanders could win North Carolina, just because North Carolina has progressive roots, very progressive roots actually. Terry Sanford, the former governor there, he was a big progressive, and I think that would definitely help him. In terms of other places he could potentially win, I actually think that Missouri and Kansas would be likely Trump instead of safe Trump, just because I think, Kansas, there's a big rural population, and there are a decent number of Democrats in Kansas, and Bernie Sanders does do very well with rural voters. And Missouri, I think he could turn out progressive people in the St. Louis areas. So for that reason, I'm going to say that that's a likely Republican. I actually think Nebraska's 2nd district is tilting in the Republican column for obvious reasons. Or not for obvious reasons, but I think mainly because I think Bernie Sanders, there was a Bernie Krat type of candidate that ran in that district for the House this year and didn't do so well. So for that reason, I'm going to say that's tilting for Trump. I think he'd narrowly win it. But I actually think Iowa would be tilt Sanders just because he can do very well with rural voters. And I actually think in terms of Ohio, I'm going to say that's tilt Trump. Whoa. I think that's going to be tilt Trump just because Ohio has a lot of conservative roots, and I think that's going to be hard for Bernie Sanders to overcome. And this is the final electoral map. 300 electoral votes for Bernie Sanders, 238 for Donald Trump. Thanks for watching.